Hi, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Two Guys and a Lot of Wine. Today we have three guys and a lot of wine, and it's going to be point system, yay or nay. You're going to find out. And we're joined by a friend for both Rocky and myself, Mr. Bryan Shorts. Him and his wife own the sewing loft of Avon, Canton, makers of fine soft furnishings and draperies. Check them out.
Thank you very much.
So we're going to do something we haven't never done before, Rocky. We are going to be tasting wine that has been rated pretty high in the point range as compared to wines that have no range.
And I think the idea is, do points matter?
Do points matter?
Are they a good reference point to a good wine, or are they just a gimmick that is used to sell wine and for wine raters to sell their magazines?
That's right.
We'll find out today, by golly.
And sometimes the higher point wines aren't always more expensive. Sometimes they are, but not all the time, right?
Well, I think that the whole reason that I wanted to do this show, I shop at Costco. I always pop my head in the wine store there, and it's real hit or miss, but they've always got those wines that are advertised right on the label, like the top of the bottle, and it'll say, this is Wine Enthusiast, 94 points, or 97 points, or Luca Macroni, this one's 99 points, and I'm like, but it'll be priced somewhere around $9 or $14. And how could it be a 99? How could it be a 97 point Tempranillo in this case for right around the $12, $13 range? And so it doesn't add up that it would be at that price point, because if it's really that high, wouldn't they be priced at $100? But I don't know. Maybe it's correct, and what better way to figure it out than to try them and rate them?
And I know, Brian, you now are a wine aficionado, and you're are increasing your wine level skills beyond belief. Do you ever buy wine based on points?
First of all, you're way too flattering.
Oh, I've seen his cellar. He's lying.
Not at all. No. I am fairly, young on my wine journey, as they like to say. I am trying to formalize it. So I did take WSET 1. Passed it, so looking forward to taking WSET 2.
And do you ever buy wine based on points? You just buy what you think you might like?
Honestly, I kind of buy what I like. So, I go to our favorite wine store in Avon, Bottle Stop. They have a wine tasting every Friday, and I taste wine, see what I like, what I don't like. Try to bring something home, see if Rachel likes it. I have to admit, I haven't really studied the point system or gear my purchase towards the point system, which is why I thought this would be a very interesting show to be on today, because it really is kind of a kind of a deep dive for me into
the first two wines we're gonna try. I had to pre-pour because we're gonna try to get through 2, 3, 5 bottles tonight, and the aroma is already hitting me from both of them. So we're gonna try some the Montepulcianos, and there's actually some. People get a little confused by Montepulciano because we're going to do 2 here, and there's going to be one that's the Montepulciano from the Beaujolais area,
yes,
which tends to be a little on the more common, drinkable, cheaper side, and then you have the Vino. Well, I always say this wrong. I tried to write it down, but I didn't.
Vino Nobile
di Montepulciano,
yes,
which is a little bit more higher quality.
And it's different grapes. One's referring to the region. So Montepulciano d'Abruzzo is the Montepulciano grape, whereas Vino Nobile di Montepulciano is the Sangiovese grape. Chew on that for a while. I've been doing this a long time.
There are 15% Sangiovese grape in this one that we're first going to try, which is the Costa, what do we have
never
here?
Go wrong with a Sangiovese
Castellanos, that's 15%. 15%. Now that one is in the small glass.
Yeah.
So we're going to taste the non-rated, different type or different style of Montepulciano.
And I think that both of these grapes have a very similar profile. You could blind taste me Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, and half the time I'm probably going to tell you it's Sangiovese or maybe Chianti. And for the purposes of the show, what was this rated again?
This one's not rated. We're doing the non-rated one first.
We're doing the unrated, okay.
And this is between the $9 and $11 range.
Okay.
So it's a very common, actually the tasting notes on this is a very common red wine, even for Italy. So it's accessible. I find this very dry, which is one of the reasons I like this particular style.
This begs for a big plate of pasta.
Yes, it does. That's exactly what this is for.
Absolutely.
And I think that the Beaujolais area, isn't that the more sunny area of Italy?
They're both in Tuscany.
Very green, I believe.
I'm going to say that area is in the eastern Tuscany region, northeastern Tuscany region. And as far as the climate goes, it's pretty similar all around there.
But it was more green in the Abruzzo area in regards to.
Possibly, yeah.
But that's very good. I mean, it's certainly there's no bad flavor. I think it is a very dry red wine, which is what you're going to get from this.
Some good acidity with it though too. You know, get that mouth
watering.
Yes,
it is.
To it, you know, so
it does make
very
it
good. Get
yes,
that
it
mouth
does.
watering. So.
And you said this was a 50-50 blend of the Montepulciano and
50% Sangiovese in this one. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's why it tastes very, very Sangiovese-ish.
Only 15% though. So I'll be curious when we move up to the next one, which is which will be a point-rated one, a 93, a James Suckling one, and it's pricier. I mean, it's almost 3 times the cost of the one we just tasted. So we tend not to ever say judge anything on the price.
Yeah.
But in this case, I mean, James Suckling is a pretty well-renowned judger of wine. So let's see what his...
I tend to find that James Suckling tends to be a little bit higher. So you've got wine enthusiast. You've got wine advocate, which was the original Robert Parker from way back in the day, not to be confused with Ray Parker Jr., who wrote the Ghostbusters.
That's right.
Then you've got Luca Macroni, who tends to rate really high, and we're going to find that out later. Who am I missing? I think those are kind of... Then you've got like the Wine Journal or all these random ones that you just see, and after a while it's just like, can my cousin that's never tasted wine go and just start their own wine rating system with...
We have 2 guys a lot of wine rating system.
And we should do that. Maybe we could make a buck or two.
Sticker on the bottom.
That's right.
Oh, by the way,
that's a good idea.
The Abruzzo is
Capitalize
near the Adriatic Sea, so it's flanked by the Adriatic Sea, the Abruzzo one. So just for the viewers out there.
You know, interesting about Robert Parker, I read did a little bit of research. He said I wasn't very familiar with the point system, so he was actually an attorney. He started out as an attorney.
Not unlike yourself.
Yes, not unlike myself, exactly. And then he liked wine, but just couldn't find any good, objective, analysis of what he was drinking. And he had a good palate, and so a buddy of his said, hey, why don't you do what you are complaining is not out there in the market? So then he put together a newsletter and then just started drinking wine and writing what he felt about it, put together a 100-point list. And he always, apparently, his intention was for it to be a supplement to the tasting note that he was writing. But as we know now, it has now evolved into, all right, people will buy based on that rating and not so much.
And I'm not going to call out certain shops that I go to. They will literally have the rating for every single wine listed on a card underneath the thing. There's no substitute for having a knowledgeable staff at your store that can walk you, like G, when you go to Bottle Stop, that can walk you through. But some places, if maybe they don't have as much staff or as knowledgeable staff, they can rely, or if it's Costco, which has really no staff other than somebody checking you out, I should say, ringing you up.
Well, we're all good looking.
Checking us out. Of course they are. They don't have staff there that's walking around telling you about the region and then the soil and this is schist and this is sandstone. Yeah, the terroir. Terroir is not something that's brought up in Costco very often. So maybe you need a number written on the bottle and then you can go home and decide for yourself. So.
All right, we're going to move up to the point-rated system now. So once again, this is from the Montepulciano region in the Tuscany area, I believe. And this is the 93 pointer.
So that smells a little more earthy.
Yeah, very much.
Right off the nose. It smells delicious.
Yeah. That is distinctly different than the first one.
And that's 3 times. I can tell it's more expensive. And this was how many points?
93.
93. You said wine enthusiast.
This is James Suckling.
James Suckling. Okay.
And I don't have the technical language as Rocky probably does, but what I would say in a wine like this is what you get when you jump up to a better quality. And in this case, I think it's a justifiable 93 pointer. There's certainly a little bit more complexity going on in the mouth that's still lingering compared to the first one.
For sure.
The first one's designed to be drunk, eat. This one is a little bit more explorative. It's a little bit more going on in the mouth, I think.
Lot going on in the mouth there, Brian. What do you think?
No.
Well, there's always something going on in our mouth.
We never shut up on this show.
I completely agree. I mean, it's definitely not one note. As you drink it, you're getting some layers of notes to it.
Oh, yeah.
And you're definitely it kind of engages your senses.
It does.
The smell of it on the nose it's different than the taste on the mouth.
And this is 8 years old. I should have said what the
I was going
vintage
to say this.
is
tastes like it's got some
2015.
age on it.
Yep.
Yeah. Which I assume like this is the first one's probably younger.
I think it's 19. Oh boy, I should have wrote that down.
Like 22.
It's a 22, so it's very young.
Yeah.
So we're 7 years off.
Right.
I do my math.
Which
Carry
might
the
be
two.
why this to me just seemed less. The tannins weren't as
Yeah.
powerful as in the younger one. Probably because
Yeah.
they just had time to dissipate over time.
Yep,
But
that's exactly how it works, and it's nice because to not have, and there's nothing wrong with a highly tannic wine like that first one. After
Right.
time, that would probably mellow out a bit, but this one, it doesn't suck all the saliva out of your mouth. This
Right,
one's
right.
really- it's so interesting when you're dealing with wine, especially Italian wines. You can definitely go too far with it. And some of them you can age for 100 years, but you can definitely go too far where it's like, I want the tannins to go, but then you start to get over the hill. We've had a couple of wines on the show here and there where they were just like, maybe we should have broke that up in a couple of years ago. So
It's funny, before we go into our next
amazing.
one, I have to ask Rocky, because I sent him a link, I think a week or two ago, about the, I forget the gentleman's name who has a wine show on YouTube. He opened up the $200 bottle. Was it 200 years old? I'm sorry. 200-year-old bottle.
200-year-old, that was Madeira. They didn't
Madeira.
Really, yeah, they
And
didn't
it's
really was it 200 years? Yeah.
I think it was 200 or 300 years. I can't
Yeah,
remember
to
what it
be,
was.
I think it was like 300 years, and then you're not going to get into wine. That's always going to be Madeira. When it gets to be that old, that's what they.
But I just
typically-
watched that so enviously when you're watching a guy who has the capability of getting those kind of wines
Yeah.
and opening it up live and actually talking about just the smell. Just to be in that area and
Yeah.
smelling a cork
Yeah.
that's 300 years old,
That's insane.
it must be mind-altering. It really must be amazing. And he said it was delicious, I believe, right? He said it was
to hold
delicious.
up for that long, and to be clearly stored properly. I can't even store a bottle properly for 6 months. I'm like, I left it in the garage. Crap.
I wish I could remember his name and I would plug him, but I can't remember it. But just look up, gentleman opens up 300-year-old bottle of Madeira. But okay, so we're off to a good start. Both these wines were good. I think this is an example, even though they're two different types of Montepulcianos. I think there's a place for both, but the one that has the 93 points definitely is more complex, definitely more flavorful.
I would tend to agree with all of that.
I would agree too.
I concur.
Definitely.
Where do we go next?
All right, the next one is.
Is that you, Brian?
It is. This is actually a Beaujolais, Beaujolais Village, Domaine de Bel Air. I know, for those who are watching, I know Beaujolais has got a bad rep. I understand that, but
Not for me. I still like it.
yeah, I actually like it. It's 100% Gamay. I find that if it's done correctly and with a reputable winery or producer, it actually comes out really good. And
Completely
it's not
agree.
the
Completely agree.
kind of bubble gum, kind of thing that became very popular with the Beaujolais Nouveau. So
And it's a great name, Beaujolais. It's just
yes,
like Montepulciano.
exactly.
It's just the name is just designed for you to drink. It's just,
Right.
would you like a glass of Beaujolais?
Well, of course, yes. It makes you sound sophisticated just saying it. So 100% Gamay. This is 91 James Suckling.
Awesome.
And what's the vintage? Was it a 22 also?
It is a. That's a very good question. Yes, it's the 22. So a young one too.
Trying to
do
get
the-
all the Italian
I'll
wine
do
out
the
of
wider
there, 'cause
glass for this one.
it's not going to
Yeah.
cuvee well with a Gamay. And I'll expand while you're pouring on the
Ooh,
whole
beautiful
Beaujolais
colors.
Nouveau festival that comes out in, I think, November every year.
Did we ever do a show on just those?
We haven't. That would be
No,
an
we
interesting
haven't.
one. I mean, it's
glass?
this one right here, if you could, thanks. Beaujolais Nouveau is they take the grapes and they throw them in a big vat, and it's the grapes on the top eventually cause the grapes on the bottom it like mashes down just via gravity, and then carbon dioxide comes up through, and it's called carbonic maceration. That's the shortened version. Carbonic
loves
and
getting those big words in.
semi-carbonic.
Yeah.
We've got to get through 5 wines, so I'm not going to go on too long about carbonic maceration. But a lot of people love it, and a lot of people hate it. I don't think there's anything in between. But I'll be surprised. I can tell you.
This is a very low bouquet. There's not
I
a.
don't know that this was made. A lot of the Beaujolais that they make is done in the traditional method of winemaking. So
That's nice. that just gently coats the palate and tongue, just gently.
Yeah.
It doesn't go into your mouth and just start beating you up.
Right.
Very gentle.
Not as much tannins as the other ones that we've had.
And would you say this is a wine that's designed for food also?
Yes.
Because I think you could still eat this, or drink this, eat this, drink this on its own. What do
You could absolutely drink this on its
Yeah.
own. I could definitely, imagine pouring this just on its own, hanging out. Even springtime, wintertime, afternoon. I think this is a good thing to can drink at any time of year, any season.
Yeah, yeah. Gamay's the only red wine I think you can put ice in. You can not put ice in. It's the only red wine that you can drink cold, or at least 20 degrees chilled from
Can you
room
face the
temperature.
label to the camera just so we
sorry,
can get a
absolutely.
picture?
Oh yeah, they gotta.
We'll get more pictures of these wines at the end of the show. But and what's the price point on this one?
This was only $17.99.
Okay.
Yeah, under $20.
That certainly is a steal. That's a steal.
I like this.
And what I like about as you were talking about going to a wine store that has people there that are knowledgeable, that can help you expand. I find that it helps me discover wines that maybe I normally wouldn't drink, or maybe that I had a perception of that I would not like. And then they said, well, try this from this producer, from this vineyard, give it a shot. And then you realize, wow, what I have thought of this grape before isn't necessarily always true.
Yeah.
A good example of that for me has been Pinot Gris. For years, I do not like Pinot Gris. It doesn't taste like anything. It tastes like water. I just can't stand it. I might as well just get something from the tap. And then,
if it doesn't taste like anything, you can't really not stand it because you're
that's
not comparing it to anything. So.
But if I'm drinking wine, I want to, I want to taste it.
You're right. You're right on the Pinot Grigio. I sort of agree with you, but there are some exceptions. But
I had one from. Actually, you like this one, right? A to Z in.
Okay. Yeah. Willamette.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a Willamette. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
Completely changed my thinking about Pinot Grigio. So, I think it's worth whether it's rated or not.
You didn't open that one up a few weeks ago when we were over the house. You did not open that one up.
That's true. So. That's true.
I probably would have played the game night better if I had
on
some
here one time because they've got a Pinot Noir too, and they tend to be around the $20 to $22 price range. I think it's the largest producer in Willamette, so it's always going to be readily available. One of the things that I don't like about this show is that sometimes we have wines that you like. I'll buy it, and perfect example, a Costco wine. Everything just gets rotated through there. So by the time this show comes on, maybe it won't be available anymore. But if you had an A to Z, good quality wine. I've had their Pinot Noir, Pinot Grigio, and that would be a good thing to bring on the show. Glad you brought that one up.
Well, I think we're on track to say that so far there is some legitimacy to the point system. I think.
So.
I would put all three of these north of 90 points. Yeah, for sure.
So very interesting, very interesting. Now, obviously, we're doing a small sampling, but and this is just a small representation. But I've been very pleasantly surprised so far.
Yep. So the big question is going to be the two that I brought. This was the whole reason I wanted to do this show because I'm like, how can they be this high at that price point? So we'll see. No promises. I have not had either of these. This one, a client of mine actually gave me that one a couple of years ago, and I haven't had a good reason to open it. And I figured we're doing a points show, 99 points. Luca Macroni. I'm a skeptic before even trying it, so I hope that I make a liar out of myself. So,
and I should say, I don't think any of us tried any of the wines that we're tasting tonight. Have you had?
No, I had not tried.
So we're going into all five of these completely blind. So that's actually good.
Good.
So I'm ready for number 4. What are we doing?
Let's do this.
What is this?
Do you want me to pour? Or you want to
start pouring on your end, and then we'll move down this one.
So this is Tempranillo, Ribera del Duero. This is not Rioja. So. It's Tempranillo. What else do you say about it? It's typically got flavor profile that's very similar to Cabernet, I guess, like Napa Cab. I don't know if this was aged. I haven't been pouring wine long enough to know how to do it.
Thank you,
spilled
Brian.
a little bit there. Tempranillo, I don't drink a lot of Tempranillo, but it tastes to me a lot like Napa Cab, but it's typically aged in American oak, which gives it a little bit different of a flavor profile. Maybe they say coconut and dill, and some of them I can definitely taste the dill in.
Can you see the vintage or year on this one? Right?
This is 2020.
I think this is the darkest one we've had tonight. It looks the darkest.
Yeah, Sangiovese, Montepulciano d'Abruzzo tend to be on the very lighter side, and Gamé's lighter than Pinot Noir. Gamé's probably the lightest. If you looked at a spectrum of light to dark, Gamay is about as far light as you can go.
I don't know what to make of this one. It's good, but what am I getting for flavor here?
It's good. Is it 97 points good? I'm going to say nay. But it's good, and it's not overly oaked. No. Probably because it's not from Rioja, where I think Rioja has a tendency of over oaking their Tempranillo, but some people love that.
Well, we actually, we have to talk about something very important. Like when these wines are rated in their point system, what sample are they drinking it and rating it on? Has it already been aerated? Has it already been sitting for a while? We're tasting these fresh open the bottles.
Yeah.
So this might taste completely different a half hour, 40 minutes from now, when we're still being in the studio and drinking them, by the way. So we're not actually getting the flavor that might have garnished that high rating to begin with. It hasn't opened up enough yet.
And if you're a person for your job rates wines, how many wines are you drinking in a day? And by the time you've gone through 50 of them, they're all going to taste the same. I mean, it's really tough for me to. I don't want to just poo-poo ratings altogether, but it's really tough for me to think. I remember in the Somm movie when they opened it up, one of the characters, Ian Cobble, said, "With ratings, what are the chances that you could rate 5 wines and then come back the next day and rate them exactly the same?"
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
It's not going to happen. You know, it's what mood are you in that day? Maybe today I'm in the mood for some Gamay and I'm going to rate that high, and tomorrow I'm going to rate it crap. It can happen.
The other question too about the rating system is, if a wine is so that point, what is rated is what they taste at that moment. But what if, I mean, we all know that wine, as it ages, it changes.
That's true.
The tannin softens. It creates more complexity. So if a wine that's supposed to be aged doesn't hit its peak for 5-10 years.
They're rating it before that 5 or 10 years. That's a very good point.
So I'm wondering how do they take that into consideration? Or if you look at a rating of something that maybe is rated at 90, but you know that it doesn't hit its peak for another like 3 or 4 years.
I don't know if this has ever been discussed before. I mean, obviously they're rating the wine that they're tasting.
Right.
That particular batch, that particular vineyard, right then and there.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of times the ratings will say it needs a few more years before it's ready to be opened, or open between 2030 and 2035, something like that.
Interesting.
Yep. I don't know if anybody's still be around by then, but
I know, right?
And also, you have to hold the wine that long.
Yeah, that's not easy. Unless you can buy a lot of bottles.
And you can't the important thing, you can't just hold the wine. You have to have a wine cellar that's the correct temperature, because you know how quickly you can cook a wine in the trunk of your car in the summertime?
Yeah. Doesn't take much. So this is a little bit more acidic. I can feel this in my stomach a little bit more. This is another wine that I would say probably I can drink this in small portions without food, but I think I would want some cheese or crackers as I'm drinking more of this wine over a period of time.
Yeah, Spanish wines in particular, Tempranillo, is something I don't drink a lot of Tempranillo, and the reason I don't drink a lot of Tempranillo is I think it has a very similar flavor profile to Cabernet, in particular Napa Cab when you compare it to like Rioja. And I just think Napa Cab's a little bit better.
I think Chateau
is just a personal preference.
Wasn't Chateau's favorite Tempranillo? I remember Chateau. Was it
I know
he's a big Spanish wine
I think
guy.
he likes the Rioja. And a lot of people love the Rioja. I don't like the American oak that they put on the Rioja. It just gives it that kind of overpowering oak, vanilla flavor to it. It's just not my thing.
And what was the price of this one, Rob?
This was around, I want to say this was between $11 and $12, somewhere in there.
That's certainly very acceptable.
No, good question about it being 97. I mean, it is very good.
Yeah.
But 3 points away from 100. I don't know. I mean, you kind of want to be at that point. You kind of want to be kind of blown away by it.
Are we going up to a 99
100
next?
points wine, like you're talking about Penfolds Grange that runs north of $1,000 a bottle, right? I mean, there's not that many wines that, and I'm going to say that that's probably like Wine Advocate's going to give you 100 points. That's going to be a really good wine. We're going to find out if Luca Macroni is worth his salts.
This is 99er?
This is the 99er.
I think this might be our first 99er on the show.
We should have had a 96 point, so I could say this is the
know,
old
right,
96er. And if it was like 10 years old or something, that would have been great. Oh, well,
We've had a lot of good wine and expensive wine on the show, but I don't think we've ever had a 99 point.
99 points. I'm going to pour myself a little extra just because it's the last one.
And what's the jump up in price, Rocky, on this? Is there a significant jump in price on this?
This one, one of my clients gave this to me a couple of years ago. I looked it up on, so I don't know, but I looked it up on Vivino, and it's around the $22, $23 price range.
Certainly very,
for 99 points. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And this is Italian.
Lighter.
What is the grape again?
This is La Crema
Sorry, La Crema.
di Moro d'Alba. So this is from region very close to where we started out. So we're
Completely
kind of
different taste.
circling
profile.
back into.
Wow. Very good. Just completely. I think it's probably one of our unique flavored wines tonight. It's
That's weird because it almost tastes like Beaujolais. It's got kind of a bubblegummy taste to it, doesn't it?
It
I
drops
wonder-
off very quickly.
So I wish I'd researched this.
piece of cheese
Sometimes they make wines, and they're doing this in Italy too, and in the Nouveau method, which I was talking about. You can call it carbonic maceration. I would love to know if this was made in the Nouveau method because it's got that. It's not like Beaujolais Nouveau where it's just slapping you in the face with bubble gum
Right.
and
But it
and
has a hint
bananas.
of it there, yeah.
But it definitely has a hint of, and 99 points. I mean,
I got to say, Rocky, it's very unique. Actually, I told you, by the way, it goes by fast. We only got like a couple minutes left, 2 minutes left on the show. I'm not sure where to place this one because I like this one. It's not as dry as what we started off with the other two Italians, but I like this one.
Gonna have to rip my mic out as I get our best
Our
in
best in
glass.
glass, yes. Rocky did only left to get the best in glass.
Best
All
in
right.
class.
And because we want to get that in. So
Hardwired
thank you for
in.
remembering
They've
that.
demoted me here. It's
So,
WHCI.
you know, I'm gonna go with one of my picks is my best. I'm gonna go with the second one, the 93 pointer. I think that is the one that offered the most complexity and uniqueness for my palate. So that would be the
I think that would be where
Bill?
I would go as well. I'm kind of torn between that one and the Beaujolais. I like that Beaujolais
Beaujolais was good.
because it didn't really have.
I'm very happy with that. But mine's coming in second place there. This is interesting.
I kinda like
You're
this
right.
one too, though.
I do.
Something about it.
The flavor kind of smacks you in the face.
It's
fruit
very
forward,
flavorful.
Very flavorful.
Very flavorful.
It's hard for me to put my finger on what the fruit is that I'm getting out of it.
It's tropical. It's like a tropical red wine.
Yeah.
You don't
That's a good way of
have
putting it.
many
You
tropical
really
red
don't.
wines, but it's got like a pineapple flavor to it. It's got maybe an orange I can taste. Orange peel, as the wine nerds say. It's all over the place.
But don't let that fool you.
Yes.
That doesn't mean it's overly sweet. None
No,
of these wines are
you're
sweet
right.
at all.
No.
Fruity and sweet are not synonymous.
Correct,
A lot of
correct.
people confuse those two.
But yeah, so I'm going to go with my vino.
So it looks like it's up to you. What's your favorite today? And then we'll our best in glass.
You know what's interesting? I liked this one too, but I'm almost jaded by the 97 because I'm like, that's not a 97. I mean, to me.
Yeah. So the high points actually was a drawback for
Actually,
you.
drawback.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that you never think about that.
Right.
It backfired on you, wine enthusiast.
I honestly,
Oh wait, no.
I did like this one a lot. I like the
93,
complexity of it,
okay.
and it's hard to explain. Like I felt like I was drinking a
It was probably the most
well-made,
complex wine tonight. Yeah,
but yet balanced wine.
yeah.
This one is really good, but it definitely kind of like it just kind of hits you.
Yes.
Which sometimes you're in the mood for that.
I should probably correct myself here. This is the Decanter World Wine Awards got the 97, so that was not Wine Enthusiast. Like I said, there's so many different ratings.
Yeah.
Who?
So is our
But
30?
I think my Beaujolais comes in as a second here.
We got our wrap up signal going because it goes by fast. So Rocky, what's the one that's winning tonight?
Did you land on one?
I landed on this one.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
it. Vino Nobile de Montepulciano.
And I will say
Hard to go wrong?
we will say that the ratings, the number systems, still needs to be determined. I think there's some validity to it, but I think it needs more experimentation.
But yours was not the highest points,
It was
but
not.
it was probably the highest price point. So that's oftentimes the best
Interesting.
indicator.
So I want to thank Brian for coming on the show. We hope to have you again.
Thank you for having me.
We have
Really,
the.
I'm a big fan.
We're a little behind this year. We got the Bubble Show coming up next time with Essie and Rocky's wife Sandy, because we can't miss the Bubble Show. We do it every year. So please stay tuned for that. And thanks for joining us and making our show as successful as it is. And until next time, keep all of us
And your wine cellar.